I'll go ahead and get us started. Good morning and welcome to this RV Industry Association webinar. Today I'm excited to be joined by Earl B. Hunter Jr. He's the founder and president of Black Folks Camp 2. We're going to take a deep dive into discussing a growing demographic of RV owners. And we're going to talk about how as an industry we can be more inviting to diverse audiences and make sure that we're sharing our great industry in the outdoors with as many people as possible. There's a Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen, so feel free to submit questions. We'll mix them in for Earl to answer as we move along. We are recording this presentation today. It will be available to both RV Industry Association members and non-members. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. So Earl, once again, thanks for joining us. For those that don't know you, can you talk a bit about your professional experience and what led you to launch Black Folks Camp 2?
Well, first of all, thanks everybody for joining. This is a beautiful day. I'm here in North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina where I live, and I'm really excited. So thank you so much for RVIA and Go RVing for hosting this amazing call. My professional background is it's pretty amazing in the fact that as I look back at it now, I came out of before I got into the RV industry and the outdoor industry, I was in the international sourcing industry. So I had traveled extensively through different countries, South America, Central America, of course, North America. Spent a lot of time in Asia and things of that nature. So I've had an opportunity to do a lot of deals in those particular spaces and understand from an executive perspective how to make things happen, how to focus 80% of my time on solutions and 20% of my time on issues. And so the beautiful thing is that I have an opportunity to get into the outdoor space, the RV industry is where I cut my teeth in the outdoor industry. I never knew anything about the outdoors before I became the vice president of sales at Sylvan Sport, which is a company we made pop-up campers. And I had never been in the industry at all. I had never even thought about the industry. I never thought about camping. I never thought about the outdoor industry. I'd never been hiking. I'd never been any of that. As a matter of fact, I tell folks I was a Gucci, Louis Vuitton wearing, sports car driving, private plane flying executive, knowing nothing about the outdoors. However, what I saw was an opportunity within the outdoor space. And it was my duty to get involved, to drive it, and to feel like it was a place for improvement. Black Folks Camp 2 came about because of what I saw in the industry. I saw that I was one of the only Black executives in this industry at the time 4 years ago. There were some others that I didn't really know, but I figured by creating Black Folks Camp 2 as a company and creating it to treat everyone everywhere equally in this particular space, I figured that we could actually improve some things within the industry first, right? And by doing that, we had to understand the why, right? Understand the why that folks that look like me weren't necessarily in the industry or in the lifestyle for the most part. And so as we as a team, as a company, as we started to go down this road, Jeremy, we really wanted to make sure we got a lot of data before we really branched out to share this messaging that we have to the industry, which I love, which is the RV industry, the outdoor industry. I wanted to make sure we were true to the industry, that we could do some things for the industry that the industry had not done for themselves, right? And so that's where we are with Black Folks Camp 2. We tell folks we might be the most delightful company in the world, to be frank with you.
So you mentioned the why. Go into that why. Why don't you think that we've seen as many Black folks in camping? Why you haven't seen as many?
Well, one of the things that I tell folks all the time, being one of the Black executives that was in the industry, what I noticed was I was the only one at all the RV shows. As a matter of fact, I think I've been to every RV show in North America when I actually worked at Sylvan Sport as the vice president of sales there. But not only just at the RV shows, but also at some of the industry shows, I would find myself being one of the only Black executives there, and not only maybe one of five Black folks at the entire industry at all. When I would go to campgrounds, when I experienced campgrounds with my family, sometimes we'd be the only Black family. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, we were at a campground that had 1,300 campsites, 1,300 campsites on the beach, and we were the only Black family there 2 years ago. Well, Black Folks Camp 2 was started well before, Black Folks Camp 2 was started October 10th, 2019, well before Mr. Floyd was killed, well before we had social unrest in our country a couple years ago. that was started by Mr. Flores Killen, well before COVID, well before all those things happened in the country, that we as a company, we saw that the industry needed to do more inviting, right? And so the why is very important for us to change the narrative from where we are. And most folks don't know the why. And so what we did as a company, we took out close to 400 people last year, right? We're not a group or a club. You can't call us up as a company and say, hey, take me RVing or take me camping. We're a company that we needed to get data. So I spent my own money, our own dollars, over almost $250,000 getting data, understanding why folks that look like me have not ventured into the outdoors or into the RV industry as much. So I knew why I didn't go in the outdoors. And the number one is that I had generational fear. My great grandmother would tell my grandmother, would tell my mother, would tell me, don't you go in those woods. You don't belong in those woods. Those woods are not for you. And of course, I grew up in the South, but that was being said throughout not only just the South, but also throughout the country. You don't belong in those woods because of some of the generational things that my great grandparents saw in the woods: lynchings, crosses being burned, men wearing white hoods, KKK, all those things that would make folks not want to go in the outdoors. That was number one. That was the number one fear that I knew of, that the other folks in the groups that we took out also stated. The number two thing is that we have no knowledge. They had no knowledge. They had no knowledge of trailheads. They had no knowledge of what to do, how to filter water. They had no knowledge what to do in regards to what an RV was, buying an RV, how to finance an RV. Most folks had never even thought about looking at an RV, right? Not even knowing they can afford an RV. And these folks were from 18 years old to 69, people who were doctors, lawyers, teachers, well-to-do folks who were able to afford these products, folks that could go camping, folks that could do these things, but didn't have any knowledge, right? And the third thing is why we're here today, mainly, is because there was no invitation. The industry had never really invited folks that look like me, or those folks, to really want to be a part of this amazing $114 billion industry, right? And to me, I saw it firsthand by going to some of the RV shows. I saw it firsthand by me not being able to interact with anyone in this particular space. The bottom line is the industry has not done a good job of inviting folks to look like me and other folks into this space. And we need to do a better job at it. And that's why Black Folks Camp 2 was actually created, to be frank with you.
So, we chatted a little bit yesterday when we were talking about this, and, the economic, impact that Black folks have just on the overall American economy. So how does the RV industry, capitalize on that? How do we invite folks, into the outdoors, like you mentioned,
right.
Why is it good for business to reach out, and, how do we convince them that RVing is a place for them?
Well, first, to start, I always tell folks you have to start at the toenail of the elephant. Before you can actually start to invite folks into a space, you have to understand why they're not going in the first place. I can remember about 6 years ago when I had this conversation with a leading executive in the RV industry, and I asked him, why do you think you don't see folks that look like me in this industry? And that person said to me, because our data shows that many Black folks don't have the money to buy these RVs. And I kind of laughed in his face, to be frank with you. I laughed because I knew that Black folks, we spend $1.2 trillion per year. And we spend over $560 billion on products that necessarily don't have any equity. Well, we sell a lot of products in that particular space, right? But what we do have in the RV space, we have family equity. We have a lot of family equity that I believe that Black folks really should be not only to be promoted to, but we should know that equity is there. We should know that family equity is in campgrounds all over the country in regards to the outdoor industry. And so from an economic perspective, I think the RV industry is missing billions of dollars. Not only not promoting to us, but not only they're missing billions of dollars, not understanding why we're not there. The second thing is that, the industry itself has said many times that we're looking for more minorities to be a part of the industry and the workforce environment. Well, we need to get folks involved in this particular space and understanding how amazing RVing is before we can really put the call out to say, hey, we want you to come work in these particular environments and spaces. It's hard to get folks to work in environments when they have no clue what the environment is and what it looks like. And at the end of the day, you know, we're as a company, we are not calling out the industry. I'm not calling out the outdoor industry. I'm calling the industry in to do something that they should want to do in the first place, which is invite any and everyone to enjoy this amazing pastime, this amazing lifestyle as well. Because here's another bottom line. You know, I would like to say that the industry did a great job marketing over the last 2 years, and this is why we sold so many RVs. But if we want to keep it real, COVID did an amazing job to really drive the notion of how many folks are buying these RVs right now. And we're going to have to do a better job in the next 2 to 3 years to get more folks into the pipeline to buy more RVs, or we're going to be in trouble, to be frank with you, right? And I think the data kind of shows that, right?
Are there some specific things that, you know, the industry can do to kind of, or brands can do to invite folks, you know, in?
Absolutely. And those are the things that we kind of share with brands individually. But as an industry, the first thing we need to do is have a very sincere, meaningful, measured, sustainable approach to invitation, right? That's on the consumer side. But what we really have to do is, and what the industry really has to do, is take a look at themselves and say, do we really know why these folks have not been here? Do we know why these folks hadn't come to our RV shows? Do we know why folks drive past our RV dealerships every single day and never stop? Do we know why we have not seen as many folks that look like Earl or other folks, brown folks, in our dealerships? And then how do we do that? First, again, you have to understand the why. And once you understand the why, you can develop programs to combat the why, so we can get to the what, when, where, and how. And then once we understand the what, when, where, and how, we then take this industry and we turn it towards those particular spaces, and we then peel back the onion, peel back the orange, and then we figure out now, these are spaces that we can actually directly affect by marketing, education, and being sincere, meaningful, measured, and it'll be sustainable. I would like to give you all of our strategies and how we do that, but again, you know, we're not a nonprofit. You know, we're business, and our business is to share this information with folks who have decided that they want to come on board with a company like Black Folks Camp 2 and be a better company in this particular space.
Well, and one of the things we chatted about too was not just inviting them in, right? But not losing them on the back end, right? We've had so many newbies of all, you know, diversity, right, coming into RVing in the past 2 years, like you mentioned. And it's really critical that we deliver a positive experience, you know, for folks who are new for whatever reason, right?
Well, you know, I always tell folks I like to keep it real. I've been to campgrounds. I've been to some RV dealerships in this country that were not inviting, right? Not only just inviting to me, but inviting to no one. Bad customer service, and not treating folks in a way that they, as a delightful customer, not understanding what the customer needs, not understanding that they don't have education about buying these products. We need to do a better job as an industry just educating our customers, potential customers, period, right? Well, the data shows the attrition rate for folks that look like me in the space, right? When it comes to camping. A lot of us have gone and not gone back camping-wise, RVing, or not gone back to RV dealerships, right? Because of the experience. And our job as a company, what we want to do is make sure that the customer has a great experience at the point of sale, right? Particularly at the dealership. We want that customer to have a great experience, and the only way they'll have a great experience if we're educating the dealers and we're educating the industry on the whys. And once we understand the whys, we can get to the what, when, where, how. We can peel this onion back so we can actually dive into it in a way that is very strategic. Right now, what we're doing is starting at the midsection of the elephant, right? What I've seen a lot of companies do is they're being very solidarity. They're in solidarity. They're doing a lot of things, but they're really starting at the midsection of the elephant. What we really need to be starting is at the toenail, right? Understanding all these things and then building programs to drive not only just a narrative, but to drive a lifestyle to folks that don't know anything about the lifestyle. And so the attrition rate is going to be very high if we don't start at the toenail of the elephant. That's with anything though, right? That's what in your job. if you're not educating your employees about what they need to do or giving them the direct objectives of what they need to do, well, and giving them the deliverables in which they need to do, they're probably going to leave because they're going to be unhappy and they're not going to do a great job, and you're not going to be happy as well. Well, since we know those are reasons for businesses and customers to be unhappy, why don't we just start at the toenail of the elephant and we just share this knowledge and treat everyone everywhere equally when it comes to this lifestyle?
Yeah, and we had a question come in, and I think you just answered it there. The question was, did your data show anything about receptivity of Blacks at campgrounds?
Yep.
And I think you kind of just hit on that right there.
Well, I got to tell you, we get emails a lot. Our social media, we get a lot of emails as a company, because a lot of folks do think we're a group. They see some of the delightful things that we've done. And I'll just tell you this from a personal experience. I've seen some of the most horrific things in my life at campgrounds. Although I would go to campgrounds and have a good time because my family's there, and some of the things that I saw, I would be like, I blow it off, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to allow someone to stop me and my family from enjoying one of the greatest pastimes in the world. But I've seen some of the most horrific things in my life. As a matter of fact, I've seen emails and posts for some of the most horrific things that campground owners would say, and it's and a lot of it is because of the why, because they don't know really why Black folks haven't been in the outdoors. For instance, folks will say this all the time: Black folks don't need help getting in the outdoors. The outdoors is for everyone. The outdoors can be for everyone. Why are you pandering to these people? Why are you doing this to these people? Well, one of the reasons why folks say that kind of stuff, and why we've gotten some of those emails, and why you may have dealers or people in this industry may say that, is because they don't understand the why folks that look like me have not been in the outdoors. They don't understand that folks that look like me, we had laws that keep us out of national and state parks until 64, right? The national parks and state parks are segregated, right? So even if folks wanted to go in the outdoors and wanted to go camping, they couldn't, right? There's a lot of history behind the reason why the most athletic people in the world, for the most part, you have not seen them trail running. You have not seen them mountain biking. You don't see us in X Games for the most part. You don't see a lot of us in those particular spaces when it comes to the outdoors. And again, our job, is not to call people out. We just want to deal in facts. And then once you deal in the facts, we want to call folks in so we can actually change all this, so we can make our industry healthier. Because diversity in any industry is healthy, right? Period.
One of the things I wanted to kind of touch on with that, we talked a good bit about bringing in diverse audiences for the future of the industry, right, and growth in the industry. But one of those other advantages is workforce development. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I've always said this. We get emails every day about from companies wanting us to help them drive more diversity into their spaces, and I love that, and I think that's amazing. Well, the problem is that, again, we're starting at the toenail of the elephant. We need to start at the toenail of the elephant. As a company, we have a plan. And our plan is to educate. Education is very important, but we want to educate. We started off our company not educating the consumer. We wanted to educate the industry on why these things are happening, on why you have folks not even applying for these jobs. We want to educate the industry why there are engineers that look like me that don't know that they can be engineers in the outdoor or in the RV space. We want folks to know that folks that look like me don't even know that Elkhart, Indiana even exists, right? That's where most of the RVs are produced, right? So we have to make sure that the industry understands that they have to do a better job to promote these jobs and spaces and folks that don't look like them for the most part. And I'll be naive to think that everybody wanted to see this change. I'll be naive to think that everybody wanted to change this narrative, because I don't think everybody does. I think a lot of folks have talked that talk, but I don't know if folks really want to walk that walk. Because and I say that because, we're not the only people in the country have said that the outdoors needs to be more diverse, right? We're not the first to ever say this. As a matter of fact, I'm embarrassed as a leader in this industry that Black Folks Camp 2 actually is here in 2022, right? a company leading to get more folks to look like me in the outdoors. I'm embarrassed by that because I didn't build this company, Black Folks Camp 2, for us to be around for a long time. I built this company for us to be around for a good time. I want us to go out of business, to be frank with you, because if we do out of business, we've done our job, and then we can move on to something else. Because I'm tired of hearing this, and I know there are ways that we can actually fix this, but we have to be very cognizant of the situation. And I know for a fact also that the folks who are in this industry, not only just the RV industry, but in the outdoor industry, they don't know the reasons why folks who look like me have not been in this space. And when you don't know the reason, you can't fix it. You can put Band-Aids on it, but you can't fix it, right?
Go ahead. Finish that thought, yeah.
What I was gonna say, the last thought is, we have strategic understandings on how we can actually improve the narrative of folks, diverse folks in the workforce, and not just Black folks. I'm talking about underrepresented folks. I'm talking about women. I'm talking about folks who have never even thought about being in this space. We, as a company, as an industry, we have to be more open, not only to just our diversity, we have to be more open to change. Because if you look at the data, and you guys have a lot of data, the data shows that many of the RV customers currently are older folks, particularly older white folks, right? And most of them are dying off. You gotta fill the pipeline, not just with the consumer, but you have to fill the pipeline within the industry as well, with the workforce. And you only can do that by inviting folks and educating them, and educating yourself on how to actually get those folks. I want to add to one point to that, Jeremy. This is pretty important. Last night, I had an opportunity to keynote with the state parks, and I said this to the every state park pretty much have a friends of state parks and the folks who take care of the trails and things of that nature. And I asked the question to the person in the room. I said to him, can you tell me the average age of the person who's actually fixing the trails, and can you tell me the race of that person? And he said, older white men. Well, if you don't get more folks in the pipeline, those older white men are gonna die off, and the trails are not gonna look like trails anymore. They're gonna be overgrown because there are not a lot of folks out there who want to get this done, right?
Can you talk a bit about some of the other partnerships, you got going
Absolutely. On? So when we started this company, I tell folks, we didn't start a nonprofit. We wanted to talk to business folks. We wanted to do business with business folks because we believe as a company, this is a business. If we can be sincere, we can be very meaningful, but we want to be measurable so we can be sustainable. So one of the companies that we first came on board with, one of the companies that came on board with us first was South Carolina State Parks, right? The director there, Mr. Paul McCormick, said, listen, I want to change the narrative that we have, Earl. And I said to them, well, let's get to work. Let's make sure we educate your current employees on why we're not there, and then let's put some things in place so we can do that. And he would tell you right now, the things that we've done in that particular space has given them a major increase in this particular space. But on the retail side, we partnered with a company called Oboes, right? Oboes Footwear, right? They make amazing boots. And what I said to them is that, we don't want you to give us anything. We want to partner with you. We want to take that campfire, which is in our logo, which we call the Unity Blaze. And the Unity Blaze means treat everyone, everywhere equally. It doesn't matter your race, your age, or your gender. We want everyone around that campfire, because we believe once you get around that campfire, we believe we're going to find out we got more same than differences, right? And so with that being said, we've licensed out our Unity Blaze to a ton of companies, particularly to Oboes. So when you go into a major retail store like a REI or Dick's Sporting Goods and things of that nature, or on our website, you're going to see the packaging with somebody's picture on there, which is mine. We're going to see that, and you're going to see the messaging with talk about Black Folks Camp 2 as a company and what we're doing. You're also going to see the Unity Blaze, which means treat everyone everywhere equally. You're going to see that at the bottom of the insole of the heel, and in that heel it says put a little soul in your step, right? Again, and so we partner with them, and we use those dollars to create our DEI. And DEI for us means digital education initiative. We believe that we have to educate folks digitally for them to understand what that looks like. We have our own coffee, which is a company called Treeline. Again, you see the Unity blades there. We have products with a sock company called Farm to Feet. And as of last night, we are expecting to have amazing accomplishments with state parks in our Unity Blaze flag. But let me also say this, Jeremy, because this is very important. When I started this company, I went out and shared this message with a lot of RV dealers who are my friends because I had known them all. And I shared with them what we want to do. And many of them said, look, Earl, we'll fly that Unity Blaze flag and we'll help you start something extraordinary, something that we need. And a lot of those dealers you can find on our website right now, right? You go to our page, you can find those dealers. But more than that, in the industry, manufacturers, one of the manufacturers I really want to call out because I remember having this conversation with this young fella and I shared with them what we were doing. They contacted us first and I shared with them, I want to come and educate your folks. And it was Blue Ox. Blue Ox, Mike Hesse and that group were behind us 100% in regards to inviting everyone to the outdoors. They understood our messaging, they understood what we were doing, and they said to us, Earl, I'm excited for what you're doing. As a matter of fact, not only did they come on board, they introduced us to NTP Stag, and I keynoted to their sales group about this same issue. So the industry has been coming on board, but there were some folks who were there first that understood that we needed to make sure that we welcome everyone, not just Black folks, everyone. And that's what that Unity Blaze means. It means treat everyone, everywhere, equally. The bottom line is if we as an industry are saying to our consumers that we treat everyone everywhere equally and we're signaling that to everyone, no one can never say that we have. That's the point, right? And we need to be working very hard in the background to make sure we educate ourselves and continuously educate ourselves about the consumer so we can be better at what we do.
So, building off that education and industry partnerships as well, you're launching a brand new project with Go RVing, designed to teach the industry how to market and reach Black consumers. Can you talk about that partnership, what it's going to entail, what it all looks like? Right
on. So, we partner with Go RVing. I just want to thank Karen Redford and her team and Courtney and all the folks there and yourself for reaching out to us for this particular in partnership. And our job, again, is to educate the industry. Right? It would have been easy for Earl to jump in the RV and drive around the country and invite more Black folks to the outdoors or to invite more people in the industry and the lifestyle. But I wanted to educate our industry so that when more folks, or we fill the pipeline for more folks to come, we'll be ready to and excited to accept these folks in this space and teach them how to be better in our industry, right? And so we partner with Go RVing with a 3-series video project where we're teaching the RV dealers, for the most part, on what they will see in regards to when a customer like myself will come in, how to have those conversations, understand that we don't have all the information, understanding that some of the history that we've dealt with, we are preparing the industry to have these delightful conversations with folks that have no clue what our industry is about. And again, not just Black folks. When you see this, the series, you will see in the series, we talk about how we treat the customer, period. This was an opportunity for us to not only to talk to the industry about how do we get more Black folks in the industry and in lifestyle, but also how to a point of contact for us to talk to the industry on how to just treat customers, period, right? Particularly since we know that more new customers have actually purchased RVs. And we know, hopefully, with what we're doing, we're going to have more new customers to want to purchase RVs. We want them to be educated. We want the dealers, we want the manufacturers, we want people to be educated before they arrive. And so the project is very simple. There's a 3-video series. After the dealers watch the series, they take a quiz to show that they actually were at least coherent and watching the video series. And then that gives the dealers and manufacturers an opportunity to come on board with us as a company on a project that we created, which is the Unity Blaze. which is a campfire in our logo. They'll get an opportunity to get that kit. They'll get an opportunity to get that Unity Blaze. They'll get an opportunity to get our social media assets. They'll get an opportunity to signal to the world that they treat everyone, everywhere equally. It's just so happened that a company by the name of Black Folks Camp 2 created an amazing symbol to treat everyone, everywhere equally.
And I want to hit on that again, just real quick, because it's not just for the dealers, right? It's for our members as well,
Absolutely.
Suppliers, aftermarket. It's on the bottom portion of Go RVing's website in the industry only section. There's a education area there where you can watch those videos, where you can take that quiz, and then get hooked up with the quiz. And
Jeremy, so just so for folks to know, there is a fee for this particular space for dealers. We charge dealers $2,500 per year to license out our Unity Blaze, to get our assets, and we use those dollars, much of those dollars, to educate and create DEI, our digital education initiative, pushing and pulling, making sure that the consumer knows how amazing this dealer is. They've been certified, that they have watched these videos, they have understood this, making the consumer more excited to want to go into these dealerships. And dealers are waving the Unity Blaze flag and saying to these customers and signaling to everyone, again, not to just the Black folks, but they're signaling to everyone that we treat everyone everywhere equally. You can spend your money here. You can come here and buy a product because we want you there. We want you in the outdoors. And this is being transferred also to campgrounds. This is being transferred to everybody in the outdoor space, right? We just need to tell the world that we treat everyone everywhere equally. And we're working behind the scenes as we do this to get better every day. This is not an overnight fix, folks. Don't think because you've flown the Unity Blaze flag and you got the stickers and you have the assets that your job is over. We have work to do. We have history not to erase, but we have history to amend so that we can actually move on from this particular space.
Well, as we kind of talked about, you're of that 100%, you're taking 80% of your time, your company right now focused on the industry. And then eventually that'll kind of shift and you'll focus more on consumers. You've done a good bit of work. You mentioned the folks that you've brought out and brought camping for the first time. As we kind of wrap up here, can you just talk a little bit about the experiences that were shared in trips like that and what it meant to those folks?
One of the things that I think we talked about, Jeremy, you're going to send out. We have a film that it's an award-winning film. It's a short film. We have two versions of it. It's an 8-minute film. We have a 14-minute film that we created. And again, it cost us a ton of money to do. We created this film called The Night of Unity. And the Night of Unity film was based on the experience of Black Folks Camp 2 and who we are, and also the folks that we took out. And we filmed it to show what unity can look like in camping, right? We show what unity can look like with different genders of folks, different ages, different races of folks in this particular space. And hopefully we've twisted a lot of hearts with that to share with folks that, look, we have to change, right? We have to get folks around the campfire and have conversation. One of the things I tell folks all the time is that after taking out all those folks and getting that data and getting the other data that we have, we found that we found that folks love RVing. Folks want to go RVing. If they knew how to purchase an RV, if they knew that RV dealers wanted them to come in, they will be more likely to want to purchase an RV. We have that data, and it says that because at the end of the day, the tents weren't that popular, right? At all. It wasn't that popular, right? And so that's not only just Black folks. It wasn't that popular to the white folks, the Asian folks, Hispanic folks, the Latino folks, the Indian folks, the Native American folks that we took out either. We, as an industry right now, we have an opportunity to capture more folks into our delightful net, and encourage them to buy our product. We have an opportunity now in our industry to encourage more folks to visit our campgrounds. We have an opportunity now to get more folks to want to work in our industry. And I found those questions to be asked during the campfire after I shared with these folks that the RV industry is a $114 billion industry, that the outdoor industry itself is $880 billion industry. Well, when young folks hear those kind of numbers, they tend to want to figure out, how do I work in that industry? right? But if they don't know that, they will never want to work in the industry, and the industry will continue to look exactly like it looks now, right? So the experiences, one of the experiences I shared on the keynote last night, and it's very profound with me. The Grammy Award winning artist who's singing in this film that we created, his mother, it was her first time ever out like this, her first time ever camping, ever in this space. And while I was actually building the campfire, and by the way, if you ever go camping with me, I'm gonna make sure that I gotta do the campfire, period. She was walking towards me as I was lighting the campfire, 69 years old, and she said, I have never in my life seen a campfire being built. And I cried because it was it was at that point, it really stuck with me that what we were doing as a company was not only just helping the industry, it was not only just helping consumers who changed their lives, man. Because now she had seen that and saw how magnificent it was. Now she don't have to tell her grandchild not to go in the woods because she's afraid. She can now tell her grandchild that I saw something extraordinary of a campfire and I had a great experience. This is what I'm sharing with folks, what we need to do and what we have to do in regard to this space. And there's so many other things that we could talk about, Jeremy, in regards to time. But the main thing is that I want to share with folks is this ain't no kumbaya. This is a ROI. That means return on inclusion with us. Once we get a huge return on inclusion, we're going to change the world. As a matter of fact, we are changing the world. That campfire on our logo, which is a unity blaze, we're changing the world one campfire at a time, my friend. And we're not going to be able to do it by ourselves. And we're not going to even try to do it by ourselves, right? Particularly not with an industry that's worth $114 billion. We're not going to do it by ourselves.
Well, hey, man, I really appreciate your time today. We have a few other questions that came in that I think would probably be better directed just in a one-on-one conversation with you. We'll send out an email to all attendees as well as just to the industry with your contact information. I encourage folks to reach out to you. I feel like this is a conversation that, could last hours. We'd love to, dive deeper, have more conversations with you on this topic, because it's very critical to the future of our industry.
Right on.
So I want to, once again, thank you, Earl. Any last thoughts here?
I have two last things, actually. Two last things. Number one is that we want dealers, manufacturers to go to the portal, take the quiz, watch the videos, take the quiz, and come on board with Black Folks Camp 2, and help us do something that you have not been able to do. And because if you could have done this by yourself, you would have done it already. We wouldn't even be here. So we know you can't do it by yourself, and we can't do it by ourselves either. And we want to make sure that we do this with you. That's number one. Number two is that go to our website, blackfolkscamp2.com, blackfolkscamp2.com. And by the way, it don't say Black Folks Camp only with Black folks, a Black Folks Camp by themselves. It says Black Folks Camp 2, and 2 means also and as well. That means we believe in inclusion. We want everyone around that campfire having conversation. And the last thing, this is probably the most important thing I can tell everybody and share on this call, on this webinar. I want the folks that are seeing this, I want you to have the most amazing day of your life. But more than that, I hope tomorrow is better. Simple. All right. So thank you, Jeremy, for the time. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the folks who joined. And if we truly want to change this and we want to do this the right way, come on board and let's do this. Otherwise, we'll be talking about this for another 20 years, and many of you won't even be here.
Thank you, Earl. You got a beautiful message to spread. Appreciate all the work that you're doing. Thank you, everybody that have joined us today. We'll be sending this out afterwards, and just appreciate your time. Everybody have a great day. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
Bye now.